Movement for Social Justice David Abdullah admits that former Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar knew about corruption in her government but did nothing to stop it. During an MSJ meeting in Marabella, Mr. Abdullah, who hopes to form the next government, recalled a meeting in 2012 when he was part of the People's Partnership Administration. He said he brought to Mrs. Persad-Bissessar's attention that corruption would bring down the government.
She herself agreed with me and then said she can't do anything about it. She's not going to do anything about it. So she was part of the corruption if she was not prepared to stop the corruption. Because there are sins of omission and sins of commission. And if you know something is wrong and you don't do anything about it, then you're as guilty as the wrongdoer is.
He then warned the listeners to be aware of her apologies, reminding them about Little Red Riding Hood.
Now she's trying to rebrand herself.
Vibe is great. The streets are full of people. Be careful out there, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker needs no introduction, but let us remind the yellow and the red naysayers that our next speaker, who is our political leader and candidate for Arangwe St. Joseph, is bold, is fearless, and result-oriented. He known for his unwavering commitment to national security, integrity in public service, and putting the people of Trinidad and Tobago first. He has decades of experience in both military and civilian leadership. He has earned a reputation as a no-nonsense performer who gets the job done, whether they like it or not. He is a former commissioner of police and former national security minister. He has been at the forefront of fight against crime and corruption. Under his leadership, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service saw significant operational improvements, increased accountability, and a stronger connection with the public. His strategic data-driven approach to law enforcement combined with his no-fear attitude has restored confidence in leadership for many across the nation. Captain Gary Griffith stands ready to lead with discipline, vision, accountability, and action. He is not here to make promises. He's here to make a difference by transforming Trinidad and Tobago. Everyone, let's welcome on stage our political leader, your next member of Parliament for Arangwe St. Joseph, Captain Gary Griffith.
Listen, we're living in fear. Criminals everywhere. Robbery, shooting, murder, speed, and criminals have no fear. When Gary was on top, watch out. I'm gonna cut this reappointment down. Gary Griffith wanna serve to the country what they deserve. You know he does Skylock, hit the PNM straight out of the bar. We vote in NTA, go blue. NTA is the way, go blue. Gary Griffith got the plan, go blue. So let us say
Good evening to all residents of Arangwe, St. Joseph and environs, to all members, supporters, to the campaign team, to the governance team, candidates of the NTA, members of the media. We are back where we started in this campaign, our home base, Arangwe, St. Joseph. It has been said for years that initially it was St. Joseph, now it's Arangwe, St. Joseph. Who wins this constituency wins the election. No one knows what the result is going to be. No one. But we have seen, just before I get into the meat of what I want to deal with today, is policies to show that we are the party that can transform Trinidad and Tobago. But before we get into that, I just want to run some things here about polls. We've heard polls, and I want you all, do not let your heart be bothered. Dr. Hamed Ghani gave a poll recently, and the poll he gave a perception of what the results might be. His polls were identical to the polls he said in 2015. PNM went in Tobago, everybody loved Kamla in Trinidad, and the UNC got the curtail of their life. So let us take polls with a pinch of salt. I want us to continue to do our job. Regardless of what you see about all of these polls, the fact of the matter is there's a place for the Bridge constituency, the third constituency, and that is what we are here for. The people you all see here and to the media understand this is not a renter crowd. This is not where you see other political parties pumping hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're not seeing 20 and 30 and 40 maxi taxis lined up from all different parts of Trinidad and Tobago in their base area to bring them to a meeting. This is where it belongs. This here is the heart and soul of the Bridge constituency, the NTA. I just would like to clarify something. So when I speak about the Bridge constituency, it has to do with persons who are not a PNM till are dead or are born at UNC and are going to die at UNC. And that is okay to all of you all here, to everyone listening to me tonight. If you feel that your life is just to blindly support a party until you die, that is your right. Good for you. There are 200,000 people like that support the ketchup and 200,000 support the mustard. And regardless of what, the political leader could go downtown wearing a jockstrap back to front. They're still going to vote for them. That is how they are. They are blind loyalists. Good for you. We are here to represent that Bridge constituency. Those persons who are independent voters, independent thinkers, persons who can analyze a situation and say these people are the best persons, not just to lead me, but to serve me. And that's what we are here for. So when you're getting this perception by the public, persons stating, well, you know, what has happened is that there's a coalition, there's the PNM, and then there's a coalition of interest, and then there's the NTA. I want to state now, make it clear, there is no coalition of interests. Your choice is the PNM, the UNC, the NTA, and others. And the reason I'm stating that is that the perception you're getting about this coalition, the coalition involves several smaller parties with the UNC. And what the UNC has done, deliberately done, is to manipulate it to such a way that they have given these so-called smaller parties seats that the UNC have never won in their 37 years in existence. So what they have done is a cosmetic thing to fool you into believing there's a place for me and there's a space for me in our UNC coalition. It is not a coalition of interests. It's a coalition of Kamla's interests. So they are trying to have a cosmetic approach to make people believe, look, I'm not PNM or not UNC, but I want to get rid of the PNM, so there might be a space for me in the UNC. There is not. Those 21, the UNC have 19 seats and they've kept their seats. They have now taken the other 8 seats that have a possibility of being won based on the results of 2010. And that I could throw it, and those are seats that they don't have right now because they lost when they got rid of the third party, that being the COP. The St. Joseph, the Tunapuna, the Aruka Lopino, the Darby O'Meara, the Arimas, the La Hoquita Talparos, the San Fernando West, all of them, and Toco Sangre Grande. These were the 8 seats that added to the 19 that gave us the 27 seats in Trinidad, plus the 2 in Tobago, making it 29-12. They have taken all 8. They have taken the 19 that they have. So if they win, heaven forbid, there's not going to be a coalition. They are doing the exact thing they did in 2010 to 2015 to destroy the Congress of the People. The Congress of the People had 148,000 votes in 2007, which was my start in politics. And then 2020, they moved to 467. They destroyed the COP by using them, manipulating them, and then kicking them out. And then it became a UNC government because the UNC realized in 2010 they had 21 seats, the COP had 6.
What code are they talking about? What code are they jumping and prancing for a few dollars about code and yellow and code and all that kind of nonsense? All they really knows what goes on inside of the UNC? All they know anything? All they just jump in. All they know what's going on inside of the UNC? I was in the belly of the UNC. And I could tell you what does go on inside there. I was in the UNC because I have decided I am going to fight for good governance in this country. and I will continue to do so. But let me tell you what happened. The second or the last meeting we had in Rampasad building, when the leader called me and asked me, Victor, what we need to do to win this election? And I said to her, look, all we need to do is to get rid of those individuals who is involved in corruption, who has allegations of corruption against them. Once the name jumping in corruption, put them in the back. Find young, fresh, bright individuals to put in the front line. You know what was said to me? You know what was said to me? What was said to me is, Victor Roberts, what you want me to do? Remove people like Ratiram and Padarat and Munilal and others and put people like you? What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? All of you jumping and balling, yellow is scored. What does that mean? You work it out. To the end of the day, I led many protests against the Rowley administration. Many. Never one day looked for a cent from any one of them inside of the UNC to conduct my protests. I did it out of my own pocket. Never looked for a cent, because good governance is not looking for something. Good governance is not jumping and prancing. Good governance is to ensure that you have people and hold them accountable for their actions. You see that new chapter that Stuart Young speaks of? That is what I intend to follow, because inside of that new chapter, there's a place for everybody. In that new chapter, ladies and gentlemen, it speaks of the development of the young people. It speaks of the energy sector. It speaks of the agriculture sector. It speaks about every ministry, national security, code of ethics. Everything is inside there. And that is what we must stand for. So I am prepared to give Stuart Young that chance to unroll that new chapter. And let me tell you this. Inside of that new chapter, there is a place for the young and the future generation. This is what we need in this country. It's about time people stop thinking about self and put country first. That is the mission going forward. So you see all this dotishness about yellow is the code for a few dollars? Look, or let's get off of that idiotic kind of thinking. Because let me tell you this before I close. All that is to put a cent in your pocket for today. But how are you going to live tomorrow? The new chapter is the way to go. And I am supporting Stuart Young and the new chapter going forward. I gone.
Why did you come up here today?
I come to support my beloved Prime Minister.
Do you know what is being debated in Parliament?
No, I have no idea.
Which constituency are you from?
Barco.
What did you come out here for today?
To support the minister from URP office, Region 2.
Do you know what is being debated today in Parliament?
Not really, but I will be representing here with Miss Kamla, but Mr. Awai for Region 2, our manager.
Our URP on the Mr. Awai program, Macleaner, and it's nice people. Mr. Awai have a set to me.
So you came out to support the Prime Minister?
Yes. Only yellow, boy, only yellow.
Okay. Do you know what is being debated in Parliament today?
Well, everything good. Everything good. Everything good.
So do you know what's being debated in Parliament?
Well, we want to be in the country right now.
What to support the Prime Minister?
Where are you from?
From Pinal.
What? Do you know what is being debated in Parliament today?
Well, sort of, yeah.
What is being debated?
Ask them now. I support Kamala.
Do you know what's being debated in Parliament?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where we are right now globally and what's happening.
Yeah, but and you know, we said this morning when we were speaking. There comes a time where you can't have everything being yellow and red, right?
True.
The country is red, white, and black. And sometimes, you know, the government of the day has always said they are very patriotic, and the opposition is not patriotic. But there are some times that we must be able to put the politics aside and say this is something that will benefit us all as a country. And people, yes, it will always have the politics, they will always have favoritism for some and disadvantage to others, but this is something that has been worked on for years, that people have not been able to manage to to bring to just a conclusion where we could say Trinidad and Tobago could benefit, and nobody can deny that. The PNM was in power under Patrick Manning, they couldn't do it. The UNC was under power in Kamla Persad-Bissessar, they couldn't do it. And for what is worth, I am not a big supporter of Dr. Rowley, but at the end of the day, the man has been able to do something that nobody else was able to do. Right? And at the end of the day, you have a pipeline to build, you have the arrangements to work out, you have to find out how we could pay the people to get the gas, what arrangements are going to be put in place. But the announcement that the Prime Minister has made is one that can be of great benefit to the country. And we should try and say, listen, this is Trinidad and Tobago. Let me put Trinidad and Tobago first.
True. But again,
it's great. The streets are full of people. Be careful out there, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker needs no introduction, but let us remind the yellow and the red naysayers that our next speaker, who is our political leader and candidate for Arangwe St. Joseph, is bold, is fearless, and result-oriented. He known for his unwavering commitment to national security, integrity in public service, and putting the people of Trinidad and Tobago first. He has decades of experience in both military and civilian leadership. He has earned a reputation as a no-nonsense performer who gets the job done, whether they like it or not. He is a former commissioner of police and former national security minister. He has been at the forefront of fight against crime and corruption. Under his leadership, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service saw significant operational improvements, increased accountability, and a stronger connection with the public. His strategic data-driven approach to law enforcement combined with his no-fear attitude has restored confidence in leadership for many across the nation. Captain Gary Griffith stands ready to lead with discipline, vision, accountability, and action. He is not here to make promises. He's here to make a difference by transforming Trinidad and Tobago. Everyone, let's welcome on stage our political leader, your next member of Parliament for Arangwe St. Joseph, Captain Gary Griffith.
Listen, we living in fear. Criminals everywhere. Robbery, shooting, murder, speed, and criminals have no fear. When Gary was on top, watch out. I'm gonna test me appointment now. Gary Griffith wanna serve. Give the country what they deserve. You know he does guy lock. Hit the PNM straight out of the bar. We voting NTA. Go blue. NTA is the way. Go blue. Gary Griffith got the plan. Go blue.
Good evening to all residents of Arangwe, St. Joseph and environs, to all members, supporters, to the campaign team, to the governance team, candidates of the NTA, members of the media. We are back where we started in this campaign, our home base, Arangwe, St. Joseph. It has been said for years that initially it was St. Joseph, now it's Arangwe, St. Joseph. Who wins this constituency wins the election. No one knows what the result is going to be. No one. But we have seen, just before I get into the meat of what I want to deal with today, is policies to show that we are the party that can transform Trinidad and Tobago. But before we get into that, I just want to run some things here about polls. We've heard polls, and I want you all, do not let your heart be bothered. Dr. Hamed Ghani gave a poll recently, and the poll he gave a perception of what the results might be. his polls were identical to the polls he said in 2015. PNM went in Tobago, everybody loved Kamla in Trinidad, and the UNC got the curtail of their life. So let us take polls with a pinch of salt. I want us to continue to do our job. Regardless of what you see about all of these polls, the fact of the matter is there's a place for the Bridge constituency, the 3rd constituency, and that is what we are here for. The people you all see here and to the media understand this is not a renter crowd. This is not where you see other political parties pumping hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're not seeing 20 and 30 and 40 maxi taxis lined up from all different parts of Trinidad and Tobago in their base area to bring them to a meeting. This is where it belongs. This here is the heart and soul of the Bridge constituency, the NTA. I just would like to clarify something. So when I speak about the Bridge constituency, it has to do with persons who are not a PNM till are dead or are born at UNC and are going to die at UNC. And that is okay to all of you all here, to everyone listening to me tonight. If you feel that your life is just to blindly support a party until you die, that is your right. Good for you. There are 200,000 people like that support the ketchup and 200,000 support the mustard. And regardless of what, the political leader could go downtown wearing a jockstrap back to front. They're still going to vote for them. That is how they are. They are blind loyalists. Good for you. We are here to represent that Bridge constituency. Those persons who are independent voters, independent thinkers, persons who can analyze a situation and say these people are the best persons, not just to lead me, but to serve me. And that's what we are here for. So when you're getting this perception by the public, of persons stating, well, you know, what has happened is that there's a coalition, there's the PNM, and then there's a coalition of interest, and then there's the NTA. I want to state now, make it clear, there is no coalition of interests. Your choice is the PNM, the UNC, the NTA, and others. And the reason I'm stating that is that the perception you're getting about this coalition, the coalition involves several smaller parties with the UNC. And what the UNC has done, deliberately done, is to manipulate it to such a way that they have given these so-called smaller parties seats that the UNC have never won in their 37 years in existence. So what they have done is a cosmetic thing to fool you into believing there's a place for me and there's a space for me in our UNC coalition. It is not a coalition of interests, it's a coalition of Kamla's interests. So they are trying to have a cosmetic approach to make people believe, look, I'm not PNM or not UNC, but I want to get rid of the PNM, so there might be a space for me in the UNC. There is not. Those 21, the UNC have 19 seats and they've kept their seats. They have now taken the other 8 seats that have a possibility of being won based on the results of 2010. And that I could throw it, and those are seats that they don't have right now because they lost when they got rid of the third party, that being the COP. The St. Joseph, the Tunapuna, the Aruka Lopino, the Darby O'Meara, the Arimas, the La Hoqueta Talparos, the San Fernando West, all of, and Toko Sangre Grande. These were the 8 seats that added to the 19 that gave us the 27 seats in Trinidad, plus the 2 in Tobago, making it 29-12. They have taken all 8. They have taken the 19 that they have. So if they win, heaven forbid, there's not going to be a coalition. They are doing the exact thing they did in 2010 to 2015 to destroy the Congress of the People. The Congress of the People had 148,000 votes in 2007, which was my start in politics. And then 2020, they moved to 467. They destroyed the COP by using them, manipulating them, and then kicking them out. And then it became a UNC government because the UNC realized in 2010 they had 21 seats, the COP had 6. And because of that, they said, we have no need for you. And they threw out the COP. This is even worse. They have given the Congress of the People 2 seats that the UNC have never won, and they've given the one-man party, PEP, more seats than the COP. And it means that the UNC wants to have a UNC government and fool and manipulate the floating voters to believe that there's a coalition. So when the UNC gets their 21 seats, they're going to run a UNC government. And if that is what you want, fine. But vote for the UNC. Do not be fooled to think that there's a space for you and a place for you in the coalition. So your choice is PNM, UNC, NTA. There's no coalition inside there. And I want to turn on to the comments being made that that third parties are vote splitters. When people tell you that, I want you to tell them in plain and simple English, they're fast and out of place. Because when you speak about this thing with these third parties being vote splitters, who gave you the right to say that if I am not supporting the PNM, and none of us are, because our job, we have seen the PNM as arguably being the worst government the country has ever seen, so we want to change. So your choice is between the UNC and the NTA. And you're saying that, well, if you support the NTA, you're going to split the vote. Who made you God to say that your vote belongs to the UNC? Just by that alone shows their lack of respect. And that is how they've operated. When they call those parties pop-up parties, it's because of their arrogance to believe that because we are bigger than you, you are nothing. And if you operate like that, imagine when you're in government, you may belong to a larger religious group, you may belong to a larger political party. You cannot expect to run a government and have that type of arrogance about you when you could refer to parties as smaller parties and you disrespect them. So I want to go actually, and to give an example, it is your right, it is anybody's right to support whichever party they want. There have been several persons who have been in the UNC, and they are now powerful, well-respected persons in the NTA. We have Christine Nawala Hussain, who was actually a member of parliament in the UNC. We have Marsha Walker, we have Russell Chan, we have several others. And it is their right to leave the one party and join another. Recently, I just want to clarify a situation here, because you know we love Bacchanal in this country. Recently, there's been a situation where, and the alderman for the NTA, he was seen in a UNC jersey. That is his right. He and I spoke. That is okay. It is his right to go across there. What I would expect, however, is before you go across there, you should have had the common courtesy to have resigned. So you haven't tendered your resignation to the chairman, but you're in a yellow jersey, in a political meeting, supporting a candidate who's vying against your own political leader. And that's still okay. But when it is you made the comment, he makes a comment and said, well, third parties should just join with the UNC. If that is the case, well then why form a third party? You should have just joined the UNC in the first place. The role and function of third parties is not to help the UNC get into government. The role and function of a third party is to represent those persons who are not PNM or UNC till they die, who are bridge constituency persons, who are persons who are independent thinkers. And it is hoped that Mr. Paul Nahus, because he is an honorable man, and he will do the honorable thing, and he would obviously sooner or later resign from the NT, but also it is expected that he will also resign as an alderman. But it shows the incompetence of the UNC government at the time, because Anand Ramlogan, based on his failure, he drafted a law for aldermen that you are in the local government election, if a party accumulates a certain number of votes, it allows them to have an alderman. So the political leader of the national executive will recommend somebody as the alderman, but you cannot move the alderman. I mean, that is madness. So if the alderman is incompetent, if the alderman is absent, if the alderman decides to cross the floor, you cannot. That shows the incompetence of the UNC government and Anand Ramlogan to have an alderman, and the alderman must resign on his own, because Paul Nahus was given that position based on the accumulation of votes by NTA supporters, people who voted for the NTA. So if you're no longer a member of the NTA, I would expect him to do the honorable thing and resign as an alderman, resign from the NTA, and then we will appoint somebody who represents the needs of the NTA supporters. Failure to do that would show lack of ethics, it will show lack of professionalism, and if that is the case, well then he belongs in the UNC, because that is not accepted here. You came in here as an NTA member, you got the alderman position, we'd expect you to do the honorable thing now and resign. Failure for you to do that, it shows you lack integrity, because now you intend to hold on to a position based on NTA voters putting you there. But it also shows the incompetence of the UNC legal department, the UNC government, by putting a law and not allowing it that the political leader and the party can change aldermen. It goes right back to our principles to all. Leadership, accountability, management, and measurement of performance. If you don't have accountability, if you cannot measure performance of an alderman, and the alderman is failing miserably to look after the well-being of the NTA voters who put him there or her there, how it is then that we can remove the person if you can't measure their performance? So you measure their performance, show that the person is incompetent or whatever, and you can't move them because you didn't put a law to allow the political leader or the party to remove the person if the person is not performing well. So it is hoped that he would do the honorable thing, As I said, it is their right. If people want to make a shift left or right, do it. But do the right thing. I want to speak about an election about choice. That is what this election is about. We have selected 17 candidates, and it is my honor to be on that political battlefield with the 16 other candidates. I am proud to be next to them. I'm proud to work alongside them. Trinidad! The reason I said that is that we had dozens of other persons who applied. There was somebody was asking about W. Mirror. We had 3 persons, and none of them stepped up to the standard we expected. We had very high standards, and that's why when we selected these individuals, we did a lot of due diligence, research, background checking. My God, I swear that you're going in special branch. But we wanted to make sure that these individuals had the character, the discipline, the political maturity, and the patriotism to serve this country and serve them well. And what I have seen just here today with the 4 speakers, you all have stepped up to such a level and a standard. I am proud to say that I am a member of the NTA. And in contrast, we have seen other candidates. There's a candidate there are candidates that are walking around with gang members. There are candidates who, when it is that I was Minister of National Security and Commissioner of Police, are arresting gang leaders. The very next day, he's there at Golden Groves, getting them out, getting them released. And as I said, people will say that's their right. But it is equivalent, as I'll keep saying, that you're in charge of a cow petting zoo in the day and you're in charge of an abattoir in the night. You can't do that. You are an attorney. Your job is to release every single criminal that they could have, but then you want to be in a National Security Council to guard and defend the citizens who are under the barrel of the gun by those same criminal elements. There are other political parties that have individuals who hold senior political positions that went out of their way to give every single gang leader massive state contracts. There are individuals who are romantically involved with every gang leader. I am proud to say that no one in the 17 candidates here can ever match that type of level, and it shows why the NTA stands up above the rest. I have seen it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly of this election. This is our last major political meeting. On Saturday, we will have our motorcade. I hope to see all of you all there. And the things that I have seen of persons putting $350 in a jersey and bribing people not to vote, giving people refrigerators and stoves. For God's sake, you tried that in 2020. You gave away 600 refrigerators and stoves and still lost a marginal by 2,000 votes. You come back with your nonsense again. If it is you could operate in such an unethical manner before you get in government, imagine how they will operate when they get into government. And it shows, again, it shows the standard. I have asked all 16 candidates alongside myself and said, do not in any way break the law during this campaign. I asked the media and all of you all, just look to your right and look at the walls. Every single wall in St. Joseph has been totally defaced by the PNM and the UNC. Stickers, posters on lampposts, on telephone poles, on walls, in the roads. They have broken the law. It is against the law. It is a criminal offense. In 2020, I made it known, and that's why it's the first election ever. Trinidad and Tobago was not destroyed and defaced. But you want to get in government, but you're actually condoning and allowing illegal activities to take place. And that cannot happen. We have to reach a point in our life where we cannot sell our soul to get in government. Because when you do that, there's going to be a price to pay. We have been breaking the law. We have been giving gang leaders and promising them massive state contracts. We did the same thing in 2010. And the country paid a price by over 40 young men being killed through live sport. We are going through live sport reloaded by a political party going out of their way and are telling gang leaders, get all the youths that are under your command to vote for my party, and we will make sure you get massive state contracts. Don't feel that I can't do it. I did it when I was in the UNC government, and I gave a gang leader a state contract to build a police station. I was the Minister of National Security. So when people tell me, Gary, why it is you're not working with the UNC? Because I stand to a standard, and I'm not going to condone myself by affiliating with criminal elements. Before I start on the policies, and again I want to go back into the situation of be careful who you select in the next government. Choose your leaders wisely. I always state that you cannot expect to lead a country if you hate half of the country. And that is what we see. We have continued to see it. a political party could reach a point of hiring an individual that will say the nastiest things about people. He attacked my wife, he attacked my children, he said the most disgusting things about other individuals. He referred to people as canal conk, latrine rats. He said that people must burn just like how the member of parliament was burned. When you have an individual saying that, that is the same individual now. I mean, he is being sued constantly, which is why I'm glad he sued me, because his attorneys have a 100% record of losing every case. So I'm looking forward to go to court with him. But when you can make statements like that outside of parliament, imagine if you all give this character some degree of authority to be in parliament, where you have parliamentary privileges and he can say what he wants. We do not want those individuals. We want people who have the character, the charisma to serve this country, not to be arrogant, not to be obnoxious, not to be self-centered. This individual calls himself a corruption buster, and this is why I'm asking this country, choose your leaders wisely. We have to select people with track record. They have individuals in that party, no training, no qualification, no experience in anything at all, but they call themselves corruption busters. The one thing that we can speak about that is the biggest concern in this country is national security. It is your most fundamental right to live. By you blindly supporting PNM or NT or UNC, that's not going to help you. I am asking the country, choose your leaders wisely. You have to look at the track record of the individuals and see whether we have the capability to make Trinidad and Tobago safe again. And that is why I want to speak about policies, because when we speak about policies, one political party, again, I wouldn't call the UNC's name, but every single major political plan they have for national security, they got it here. The Ministry of Justice, I drafted it. And for the lady to have the audacity to say it's not true, I asked her, give me the leeway to show the emails of 2010, pre-2010, when I drafted the Ministry of Justice for you. But you did not have the capability to implement it properly. That would have reduced recidivism by having increased rehabilitation and dealing with problems of people being in remand for 10 years for a maximum sentence as less than 5. I drafted the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Ministry of Defense. I drafted for it to show, by shutting down the special anti-crime unit that was costing the country $20 million a month, we could use that same $20 million to give every single police officer, fire officer, prison officer, soldier, sailor, airman, immigration, $1,000 a month. So to each and every member of the protective services and your family, when you see that payslip of $1,000 a month, Gary Griffith was the one who drafted it for you, and it was given. The $1 million that is given to police officers, law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty, I drafted it. I did the cabinet note as the Minister of National Security. The Community Comfort Patrol they speak about. So all of these things that they speak about, they do not know how to implement it. What they try to do, everybody wants to, remember the TV series, Everybody Loves Raymond, everybody wants to be like Gary. So she jumps up now and she sees, wait a minute, Gary got a lot of kudos and because he was giving out firearms. So let me do so. Like, remember Oprah Winfrey? You get a thing and you get a gun, you get a gun, everybody gets a gun. That is mad people behavior. Anytime we reach to that point of giving a firearm to every single citizen, we are going to end up like the United States. What I did was to ensure that after due diligence, proper evaluation, background check, psychometric testing, speaking to your spouse, financial accounts, looking at speaking to your neighbors, we were able to give out 1,000 firearms a year for law-abiding citizens and 1,000 to law enforcement officials. There are 35,000 persons waiting. So we were able to give out 6,000. So we were getting there. For you to reach a point to say we'll give to anybody who's a law-abiding citizen. You know what it is you refer to as a law-abiding citizen? Anybody who has a certificate of character. 98% of the country has that. Many of them are criminals. Many beat their wives. Many be involved in all types of activities. Many will be alcoholics. You cannot do that by a certificate of character. Those 1,000 firearms I gave annually, that's roughly just about 3 a day. That took a lot of work. Anytime we go over that, we are going to weaken the system to do due diligence. And what that can turn to is a husband shooting his wife, somebody having a negligent discharge, somebody losing his firearm, somebody putting a gun and losing it because they're intoxicated. That is why I am proud to say that the 6,000 firearms issued under my watch, not one was lost, not one was stolen, not one was used for a crime under my watch, but it saved lives. And which is why I want to go into the most important part of safety and security. Because this is a time we are coming down to countdown, and this is for you, the citizens, to decide what do you want. Are you going to be blinded at PNM till I die? Are you going to support a political party because, look, let me just join the UNC because I just don't like the PNM? Or are you going to do a meticulous check and ascertain to yourself which party is going to make me safer, which is going to deal with my major concerns? And what we intend to do, if given that opportunity, I am just going to give you a short number of things that we did in the past as a Minister of National Security and Commissioner of Police, and what we intend to put in the future. The things that I would have achieved as Commissioner of Police is child's play compared to how we intend to transform national security in this country. And it starts with the Emergency Response Unit. That Emergency Response Unit, you'll be seeing it on advertisements on television shortly. You call 999, and what we are going to do is to revamp the 999 to have 12 persons at all times at that unit. You call 999 now at anyone, they'll put you on hold for 45 minutes or you'll get an answering machine. This 999 will ensure that immediately someone will answer the phone. But it doesn't stop there. This is not just about police. When I traveled to New York, I met with several commissioners of police. I met Mayor Rudy Giuliani. I looked at what they did in 9/11. And what we are going to do is similar. 999, the first thing you're going to get is good morning, good evening, police, health, or fire. You wonder what that's about. So you say health. They then transfer you to a switchboard with qualified medics that are going to ask what is the problem. And they, at the same time, they are going to look on the Operation Command Center, see where your home is, and look for the nearest ambulance in closest proximity to your call. That is going to ensure an immediate response to your distress call. It does not stop there. You've never heard about this before. Whilst you're on the phone, they're going to tell you to stay on the phone. So your father fell, he has collapsed. They are going to advise you how to turn him, how to hold him, what to do. So they're going to have you as a first aid person training and making sure that you can do what is required, and they're going to tell you the time the ambulance will arrive. That has never happened before. This is going to lift our life expectancy tremendously, because I'm sure so many of you all had the problem. A situation took place at your home, you don't know, you can't find the ambulance number, 999 have you on hold, the ambulance, you don't know if they're going to come. This is going to be an immediate emergency response unit for fire, for health, and for police. With the police, it is true, the emergency response patrol, which will be 100 police vehicles strategically placed throughout the country, staying in the area of responsibility based on GPS tracking on these vehicles. That is going to ensure a less than 5-minute response to every distress call. For people who believe, for those who believe that cannot be done, it was done. By last year, under the assessment as Commissioner of Police, response time to distress calls less than 5 minutes. What did that do? That provided a deterrent. That made sure there were consequences, and it took away the perception and fear of crime, knowing that if you call 999, there's a problem, you can have a vehicle turned there immediately. Having the GPS on the police vehicles, we ensure that the country is properly spread. So 2 police officers can't just go and park up by a bar, you park up by a girlfriend. If it is you're going 100 miles or on Rising Road, we can say, wait a minute, we are not at a distress call. That means you're breaking the speed limit, putting on the blue light, and abusing your authority. We'll put checks and balances. We intend to revamp the gender-based violence unit. When we formed that gender-based violence unit, that was to deal with a problem. We keep hearing so much about bullying. When I was in St. Mary's College, which by the way is the best school in Trinidad and Tobago, and who has a problem with that? Well, that's your business. And I spent 8 years in St. Mary's College. Yes, 8 years, because I didn't want to leave. I just kept repeating and repeating. I could have stayed in St. Mary's till I was in my 30s if I had a chance. But I was always somebody who was there to protect persons from bullies. I was there to fight for those persons who needed to be defended. That is why, as a prefect in St. Mary's College, that's why I spent 17 years in the Defense Force. That's why I was willing to give my life for my country. That is why I became a Minister of National Security. That is why I became Commissioner of Police, to protect and defend those persons who needed to be defended. Fight against bullies. And that was the same reason why I formed the Child Protection Unit and then reinforced it as Minister of National Security. And I'm going to reignite that. That's why I formed the Gender-Based Violence Unit, because I had a problem with abuse of the elderly, abuse of women, abuse of children. And what that Gender-Based Violence Unit did was to ensure Before, I got reports of women that might be raped or beaten, and they go into a police station, and when they explain it to the police officer, he will say, well, who tell you to reach home 2 o'clock in the morning? You know why? Because he beats his wife as well. You don't have women who get that type of trauma to go to a police station to make a report. That is backward policing. The gender-based violence unit, you send that 999, you refer to gender-based violence unit, you go to the online. We come to your home. It's a delivery service. If you are beaten, battered, raped, bruised, we come to your home. You're not supposed to come to a station and then sit down there for 24 hours waiting until the police have the persons to check you. And that gender-based violence unit is going to ensure that it will cause confidence yet again. There was a massive increase in reports. It didn't mean that more persons were involved in beating their wives. It meant that women felt comfortable to know, I could afford to make this report on you, and I know you can't go by your police partner to cover you. And that, by doing that, we started targeting the perpetrators. So that gender-based violence unit will be reignited. We intend to form something known as WOLF, the Weaponized Operation Land Force. If you recall what I did with the Special Operation Response Team that had 100 of the best in the police service, this 1,000 would be the best, most highly trained persons in the protective services of Trinidad and Tobago. Police, Army, Coast Guard, Customs, Immigration, Fire, Prisons, Air Guard. Highly trained, all polygraphed. And they're going to take the fight to this country. We have a war. We have a nation to defend, and this weaponized Operation Land Force is going to turn the screws and win back this country from the criminal elements. We intend to form the Maritime Security Wall, which is something I drafted as the National Security Advisor, but the UNC did not have a clue how to implement it. It is a 3-tiered approach. That from the shoreline to 2 miles out, we will have interceptors. We will have the Police Marine Branch, which I reignited after 30 years being dormant. We will have from 2 miles to 12 miles out, medium-range vessels. And from 12 miles to 200 miles out, we will be securing our exclusive economic zone, which has all of our major assets. This will all be covered by something we never had before, drones. I'm not talking about Toys R Us drones. I am talking about drones that can turn night into day, go 2 kilometers in the air, lock onto a vessel, lock onto a vehicle, and pinpoint the perpetrators who continue to bring illegal weapons, drugs, and deal with human trafficking. We intend, for the first time in the history of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, I brought in body cameras. As soon as I left, they put it on the side. I made it mandatory, a standard operational procedure. You must have the body cameras on. They have refused. We will enforce the body cameras. You don't wear the body cameras, I suspend you and send you home. We will give you back. We put tasers. We gave them pepper spray. They have refused to give to the officers. That ensured minimum use of force policy. So you have the body cameras, you have the radios, you have the tasers, you have the pepper spray. The firearm being the last use. We'll reignite the operational command center, which was dealing with every single thing, monitoring everybody, making sure all the units can work together in a cohesive manner. We will reignite the social media monitoring unit, which assisted greatly in being able to monitor things that are being said by criminal elements to solve crime and to prevent crime from happening, because a lot of these gangsters, they love to boast on social media. And we were able to do what is known as predictive policing, anticipating the situation and preventing the murder from taking place. My SWAT boys will, you know how many vehicles they intercepted, persons on their way to take out a prison officer, and these are the things that could have actually stopped the situation in the airport, because you will get that intelligence, but you don't have an operational team to link with that intelligence unit. The Police Marine Unit, that for the first time, as I said, in 30 years, we reignited the Police Marine Unit. It has been shut down. We are going to bring it back to secure our borders. We are going to utilize the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. I was the youngest officer to serve this country during the attempted coup. I just returned from Sandhurst. And I said, right, this is what it's all about. And then for 17 years, I was like, just waiting for action. And I'm in Camp Ogden, playing football, training, waiting to come out there and serve this country. We have 5,000 members of the Defense Force waiting for another war since 1990. That is unacceptable. These men are highly trained, and women. They are highly trained to become an aid to civil power and to support the police. I am going to ensure we put them out there and do what is required. We have a war to win, and we intend to utilize all our resources, inclusive of our manpower strength. We intend to implement the Border Protection Unit. That Border Protection Unit, again, it will have qualified persons. 95% of illegal weapons that enter our country come through the legitimate ports of entry, containers. 10 containers go missing every single year. So when police sees 500 weapons for the year, You could have one container just get out because of a questionable customs officer, a stevedore, a security guard, and 5,000 illegal firearms are out in the streets. That border protection unit, yet again, will have polygraph persons from customs, immigration, police, private security, guards watching the guards to make sure we can secure our legitimate ports of entry. We'll reignite polygraph testing and drug testing. We'll reignite the cold case unit that I brought that has been shut down. The police academy, we will ensure that the batches of recruits will be 350 instead of 100 to ensure we can finally come up to our established strength. We'll reignite the online reporting. We'll reignite the police app that was the largest app in the country. We'll reignite. I drafted the school security unit, which would have pinpointed 30 of the most high-risk schools and then have covert operative undercover officers in the schools that nobody even knows about. So they will be able to pinpoint who are the gangs, who's selling drugs, who have illegal weapons, who are the bad boys. We will launch the appointment for detectives for special investigations. I intend to have the police complaint authority. They are toothless bulldogs. That professional standards bureau in the police service has become littered with irregularities. It has caused commissioners to be arrested, It has caused persons to be promoted after they were charged. It has caused officers to hold that position to try to bust the throat of another police officer because they want to get promoted. No, the police complaint authority is supposed to have the investigative power to not just to investigate, but to arrest and have them separate and apart from the police service, but give them that investigative authority similar to the internal affairs in the United States. I'm speaking a lot about operational. This is primary crime prevention, hard targeting, deterrence, law enforcement. But there's also something known as secondary crime prevention, getting young persons away from a life of crime, which is why I continue to say that sport can play a very big part. We built an AstroTurf with taxpayers' money in St. James Barracks. For 3 years, they've refused to use it. That is for the youths. They've refused to use it because Gary Griffith established it. We are going to set up crossroads, 1,000 police officers, highly trained, to be able to understand young persons to become big brothers to 1,000 at-risk youths. Instead of a state of emergency, we will have the National Security Alert State, color-coded from green to amber to red to black. Based on the escalation, we will intensify our operations. We will reignite the Energy Sector Security Initiative. What is that? That is what, had that been there, that I established as Minister of National Security, the problems in Paria would not have taken place. When I listen to the stupidity by politicians, who is this, somebody who's a civilian cannot press the button to make the call for an operation. The Energy Sector Security Initiative, similar to the National Operations Center, which I also ignited, was there to ensure that you have the proper persons with the training and the capability in law enforcement to make that judgment call. This is what we need. This is where we go. They were twiddling their fingers during Paria because nobody knew what to do, and no civilian will have the operational capability or the knowledge to know if to make that judgment call to put further risk to someone. Because they shut down the Energy Sector Security Initiative, because they refused to utilize the National Operations Center properly, that is what caused the problem, and people were twiddling their thumbs. We intend to reignite the Highway Patrol Unit. Persons who, so if you're ever lucky and you want to go to the other side of the pond, to the United Kingdom, now you need visas. This was not the first. When I was Minister of National Security, the UK said, we are imposing visas on you. I was told that I asked, please, let me know how we can stop it. They say you can't stop it. 10 other countries. I said, just let me know what is required. They gave us 12 things to do in 6 months. We had to put K9, we had to put walk-through scanners, we had to put undercover officers, we had to do intensive training. We were able to establish everything, and the other 9 countries, the visas were imposed, and they said, thank you, Minister Griffith, because you did what was required. The British government have now agreed that the UK visa will not be imposed. Because of the incompetence of Fitzgerald Hines, failure for him to continue what I was doing is what has caused this. I promise you, if I'm in the position, I can speak the same way that they agreed and allowed me to do what is required to have the visas not imposed. I can do the same thing now to have the visas lifted. And as it pertains to the police officers, massive training in public relations, customer service, and all of these things. What is the end result of all of this? The end result of all of this is it led to the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years, the highest reduction in serious crime in 31 years. It caused public trust and confidence in the police service to move from 14% to 59%. Now it's down to 8%. It caused public confidence in the Commissioner of Police to be 79%, the highest of any public servant in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. It put crime as the number 4 concern behind health, education, and the economy. In other words, what we can do, what we promise you, is we can make Trinidad and Tobago safe again. We actually put an end to kidnapping. Never happened before. We were able to use technology that is there. The technology was there to ensure that 12 persons who were kidnapped, we were able to pinpoint where they were, rescue them, kick down the doors, intercept vehicles, and arrest the kidnappers whilst freeing the victim. That has, you only see that on television. That special operation response team that old McDonald Jacob deliberately shut down. They know what they did. They moved after SWAT was dealing with human trafficking, massive drugs, illegal weapons seizing, rescuing kidnapped victims, putting the fear in criminals. He changed that and formed a new team called the National Operation Task Force. You ever heard about them? For the last 4 years, their biggest success have been to arrest an old lady for selling school books on the pavement. And that is what they did instead of SWAT. So we intend to put back the things that can make you all feel safe again. And before I speak about the manifesto, I want to just quickly speak about what they will say. They will say, well, no, the UNC was good. We were good in national security. This is national security of the People's Partnership in 2010 to 2013, before Gary Griffith was minister. They shut down SWAT, they shut down the blimp, they shut down the OPVs, they hired Rishmi Ramnarayan, they removed Dwayne Gibbs, they replaced Dwayne Gibbs with Stephen Williams. Yes, Stephen Williams. They went and they called a state of emergency because they couldn't deal with crime. And then they arrested 500 young men for no reason at all. 2013 to 2015 with Gary Griffith was all the things I just spoke about. The Emergency Response Patrol, the Emergency Response Center, the National Operations Center, the National Security Training Academy, the National Security Special Operation Group, Community Patrol. So we have shown that we have the capability to make this country safe again. We will deal with rogue elements in the police service. We will do all that is required. So you have to make your choice. Do you want to have individuals who have the capability to secure you, or do you want to have individuals that will bring back live sport, that will give gang leaders state contracts to build police stations, that will have politicians romantically involved with gang leaders, that you will have individuals who will want to be a politician at day, but at night you're attorney and trying to get them released out of prison? You have to make that choice. And before you make that choice, we have to look at, again, the manifesto. The NTA to the media and to the public, we do not have a manifesto. So people say, oh, what, you don't have a manifesto? Because a manifesto has been something for the last 60 years in the country, been nothing more than lies. You have misled the country, because the manifesto is something to, this is my Christmas shopping list, and I'm telling you, we are going to have bridges that will go from Trinidad to Tobago. We are going to build skyscrapers to the moon, and tell you all the fancy things you want to hear, but they are not stating how you're getting the revenue to offset that expenditure, which means firstly it is a lie. Secondly, if they intend to implement it and they don't have the revenue to offset the expenditure, what is going to happen is that they're either going to devalue the dollar, they're going to take a loan, or they're going to increase taxes, which is all a byproduct towards the increase in the cost of goods and services, the increase in inflation, the increase in unemployment, byproduct to increased crime. That is not how you deal with it. Our roadmap towards transformation is treating this government and the country as a business, where every single cent we will monitor. We will take away wastage, take away corruption, take away mismanagement. You feel it can't be done? As the Commissioner of Police, I never asked Minister Dwayne Imbut for a cent. But and he actually reduced the police budget by 200 million. Yet I was able to implement all the things I spoke about: the National Operations Center, body cameras, tasers, pepper spray, the police marine unit. Why? Because we looked at every single cent spent, and I was able to pinpoint $100 million per annum in overtime alone, overtime corruption, with 200 police officers claiming they were working 24 hours a day, 30 days a month. And by taking that 100 million, you were able to utilize the funds in an efficient and effective manner to provide everything that the police needed. So when people saw Gary Griffith doing all of these things, I didn't get extra money. Same thing I did as Minister of National Security. And it was the largest budget I had of all ministers. So if anybody has the capability to run a country on this budget, it is Gary Griffith, because I had the highest budget of any minister in the People's Partnership Administration. Yeah! So we need to be very careful not to be fooled by individuals. I'm wrapping up in 10 minutes, I promise. By individuals who are going to give you all of these fancy things. There's a political party that went on Google, 50 ways to improve health. And when you look at it, every single thing is $100 million each. That's $5 billion. Where are you getting it from? They included things such as our health unit for Point Lisas, where nobody has been burnt there in 50 years. You have to look at cost-benefit analysis. You have to look at preventative maintenance. You have to look at the needs. You have to look at the training. You have to look at the quality of the staff. You have to look at the staffing. You have to look at the demand. You don't just come up with ideas and everybody blowing a horn in your political meeting. We are going to be very careful, and not to say we are going to be stingy, but we have to be careful. We have spent and wasted billions in incompetence, mismanagement, and corruption. State boards, for example, we intend to ensure, do you know that persons who are appointed in state boards, they don't need to check through to see if they have any qualification in tandem with the organization or the unit that they are appointed in? You know what is your qualification? Your party card. So if the PNM is in power, once you are PNM, I'll give you a work in a state board. So whether it is flour mills, whether it was Petrotrin, there was a man who was in charge of Petrotrin under the People's Partnership. The man didn't have a clue. He didn't know the difference. He would have probably put diesel in his car that needed premium gas. And he was in charge of Petrotrin. And that is the type of madness we had in this country, and it has not stopped. We have individuals, whether it's lake asphalt, whatever, no qualification, no training, no experience in the field. And then we wonder why all our state boards, we lose tens upon tens of millions of dollars monthly. It is because of incompetent people without the training, the qualification, or knowledge in the field that are appointed as a payback and thank you for supporting us. Trinidad and Tobago, I intend, again, for us to find ways to lift the standard of living in Trinidad and Tobago. It is not just about national security. I could give you a quick example before I close on health. We are hearing political parties speak about what is going to deal with health after the fact. So you get a heart attack, we're going to have every medical center be able to operate on you with the heart attack. No. For persons who are not aware, Trinidad and Tobago is ranked 110th in the world as it pertains to life expectancy. 110th. And because our life expectancy is 73 years, probably not too bad. Other countries, some in Africa and stuff, it's about 50, in the mid-50s. That's 200, 205th. But why we have to be 110th? Why we have to be in the middle of the table? My intention is for us, our life expectancy to get to over 80. And that is the top 45 countries in the world. And how can we do that? We're not going to do that by after the fact. We are now going to see about you. There are three main that will cause death in this country. Diabetes, heart, and cancer. And with those three, what happens is that many persons, because they do not have the finance to do the preventative check-in, the primary health care, it is only after they start to feel the pain, they then start going to the hospital. Mammogram, $200. People say it's $200. That's a lot of money for some people. What do you call this thing? What do you call this thing, Russell, when you're over 50? Colonoscopy. You really don't want to go through that. Yeah, but that costs as well. But that is a check to see if you have prostate cancer. To do a PET scan is $25,000. But what happens, because the persons, we don't have the capability, we then automatically wait until we start feeling the pain. You start feeling the pain. So for example, heart, every artery, we love the doubles, we love the roti, we love the KFC, we love the fried chicken. Bam, you start to feel the pain. Cholesterol clogged, $140,000 in a medical center, or you have to be waiting in line for the next 6 months. By that time, the cholesterol has damaged your artery to the point that it damages your heart, and it has reduced your life expectancy. Our intention is to make sure that the public has the facilities for primary health care, give you the capacity to be tested for cancer, for diabetes, for heart, so that you will know in advance. The faster you pick up these ailments, the greater chance it is for us to minimize it, because things such as cancer and stuff is no longer a life and death if you pick up these things early. But we have no political party speaking about this. As I close, I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago, unlike other political parties, we intend to unite this country, not divide. The politicians have divided Trinidad and Tobago for far too long. People say, well, how could we be in government? If it's 2021, what could happen? Could Gary Griffith decide to say, let us form a country of national unity by bringing the whole country together? Quite possible. That's what Basio Pandey asked for. It may just be the opportunity. But whatever it is, we intend to find ways to unite the nation. As I said, the politicians have continued to divide the country. They have made themselves not accessible. The same way I made myself accessible, I have asked the 16 candidates here, if you do win, hopefully you do, make yourself accessible. Don't be walking for the whole campaign and then shaking hands, kissing babies, and then you cannot find the member of parliament. I would like, again, before I close, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you all here. You all have operated in a tremendous manner. You have done well. We have gone through a very, very difficult period, but I hope that you all enjoyed it. We are here to try to find avenues, to find ways to make Trinidad and Tobago a better country. It has been a very difficult period for me and for my family. I wish to thank so many people here for what we have been going through. I wish to thank even each and every member of one political party. They contacted us. I wish to thank Dr. Tim Gopi Singh and one other person from the other party who contacted us. And nobody else did, but it says a lot about them. All I could ask is that what we're here about today is to make sure we can make this a better country. It has been a difficult time for us. We have received tremendous support, not just for the NTA, but for my family. And with this, I'd just like to, before I close, I would just like to ask my family if they just come forward, because had it not been for you all, I certainly would not have been able to go through what I have gone through over the last few weeks. So, to my family, Gary and Nicole. And remember one thing, other persons wearing a different political party jersey, they are not the enemy, they are political opponents. We have a good country with good people. Politicians have divided the country. And as I said just before I close, we have a motorcade on Saturday. I would like to ask all of you all to attend. And I would like to ask my political leader, my boss, Gary Griffith, before we close, to say a few words. Thank you.
We are the star team, and of course we support
losing marginal seats.
We are the star team, and of course we support a policy of
stealing money from EMBD.
We are the star team, and of course we support
trying to buy votes with free stoves.
We are the star team, of course we support
being caught with Zambo in double palm.
We are the star team, and of course we support
getting fired from TSTT for corruption.
We are the star team, and of course we support
human trafficking.
We are the star team, and of course we support
fudge packing.
Something carried by the media yesterday, and true to form, what it does is it paints a picture of misinformation. This is a campaign where we're campaigning against propaganda. For the country to change, what we need is an electorate that truly understands the information. Knowledge is power. So I'm taking the time today to address this whole, the map looks yellow, and that's why, the EBC steals and whatnot, right? Let me just go through some figures with you guys. The two largest constituencies in terms of land space that the UNC would have been using, to say, okay, well, look at the amount of area of Trinidad and Tobago that's painted yellow. It's Moruga Tableland and Mayaru. Just to give you an idea, Mayaru has 28,834 registered voters. 28,834. Moruga Tableland, 29,043, right? So 29,043. Diego Martin West, which again, if you look at the land space that it covers, is tiny compared to Moruga Tableland or Mayaru, but it has more voters, more electors in there. Their list is 29,886. I've stood here to explain. What you see in Diego Martin West are a lot of high-rise buildings. So in a very small square footage, you can have 200-300 voters, as opposed to Mayaru. It's not countryside, it's still a village. It's still countryside versus that kind of city life. You're thinking Manhattan versus New Zealand or whatnot. You know, it's different. And so we need to be an educated population. We need to step away from the propaganda. You know, this whole EBC thief. Look at how much of Trinidad and Tobago painted yellow, but still PNM win. Diego Martin West has more electors. Their list is larger. The number of electors living in Diego Martin West. I just showed you the numbers, and you can go through it. It's a numbers thing. It's not a landmass thing. It's not, well, you know, we have one house covering a whole acre of land compared to 300 homes covering what would look like a lot. So we have to move away, Trinidad and Tobago, from the propaganda, and we need to let information and facts, hard facts that, you know, not lying with information or pictures that paint a very, very false picture. If we are to mature as a democracy, the citizens must take the responsibility to become genuinely informed with truth and with proper facts. I am Marsha Walker, your NTA candidate to Diego Martin West.
We are 12 days away from a general election, and by now the whole of Trinidad and Tobago is aware that the UNC is using a social media blackface campaign. They've abandoned the Rainbow Nation imaging and have gone almost exclusively for persons of African descent. And when they're called out on it by, well, almost everyone, they then turn around and use two time-tested psychological tactics in deception: psychological projection and gaslighting. Gaslighting, they spit in the sky, tell you it's raining, make you doubt your current reality is what you're experiencing, but keep calling them out on it. The second one, psychological projection, is where they accuse you of doing what they're guilty of. They chock full their campaigns with persons almost exclusively of African descent, not giving them a platform. It's not empowerment, it's exploitation. And when you call them out on it, when the PNM calls them out on it, when anyone who has eyes to see call them out on it, they tell you you're playing the race card. Say, please allow me to introduce the Minister with responsibility for your children's education in Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Philip Edward Alexander. Let that sink in, Trinidad and Tobago. It's April 29th. Election has ended, and you're looking at the television waiting to hear the announcer say who will be in charge of key ministries: health, education, national security, energy. And you hear the announcer say, please allow me to introduce the Minister with responsibility for your children's education in Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Philip Edward Alexander. Let that sink in, Trinidad and Tobago.